Days began early for Molly Burridge. As owner of the station hotel in Shrewsbury, she had to get up at the crack of dawn to unlock the front door, so that staff members who lived elsewhere could get in. Then she worked through the long list of jobs she had compiled the previous night. Molly was tireless, a stout, bustling, grey-haired widow in her 50s. She was alert, industrious, and always smartly dressed. In every way she set a standard that her employees struggled to match. None of them had her energy and sense of commitment, nor did they have her natural air of authority. When she heard the front door open and shut, she did not need to see the newcomer. Molly identified the miscreant at once. "You're half an hour late, Annie," she snapped. "I'm sorry, Mrs. Burridge. What happened was this. Don't even try to give me one of your excuses. I know them off by heart. There's a penalty for lateness," said Molly, coming into the corridor to confront the young woman. "I'll take it off your wages." "That's unfair," cried Annie. "It's the rules. I didn't do it on purpose." "Well, now that you're finally here, make yourself useful. The gentleman in number 5 asked for an early call because he has a train to catch. Knock on his door, and be sure to wait until you hear Mr. Lockyer wake up." "Yes, Mrs. Burridge." "But don't stand there gawping," said Molly. "Do what I told you." "I will," said the other, heading for the stairs. Annie Garrow was tall, slim and gangly, with a shock of red hair and a freckled face. Now 16, she'd been overjoyed to land a job at the station hotel. The quick turnover of guests meant that she got to meet a whole range of people. Whenever at work, she was conscientious and willing. Her only fault was her bad timekeeping. Given an order, she sought to impress her employer by rushing upstairs to the first floor and trotting to the designated room. Annie rapped on the door with her knuckles. When there was no sound from within, she knocked even harder, but there was still no response. She therefore resorted to pounding on the door with her fists. Even if he were fast asleep, the guest was bound to be roused. Yet she still could not hear any noise from inside the room. It was not the first time it had happened to her. On 2 previous occasions, when she had been told to wake guests up, she'd been met by stony silence. In both cases, the gentlemen involved were in a drunken stupor. A brass band playing only feet away could not have woken them up. Had the same thing happened to her again? Annie ran back downstairs to report to her employer. "I couldn't wake the gentleman up, Mrs. Burridge," she said. "Then you didn't try hard enough, girl." "Mr. Lockyer was most insistent. He needs to catch a particular train, and our job is to make sure that he is at the station on time. I'll show you how to wake someone up," she went on, heading for the stairs with Annie trotting behind her. "You must be firm. Men of Mr. Lockyer's age often have poor hearing. Make allowance for that." "I used both fists," wailed Annie. "Shut up, girl, and watch me." When she reached the room in question, Molly knocked on the door. Eliciting no response from within, she kicked the door hard with her foot a couple of times. Once again, the noise failed to wake up their guest. Seeing the exasperation coming into Molly's face, Annie had the sense to hold her tongue. She watched as the other woman pulled out a key from her pocket and thrust it into the lock. After turning it sharply, Molly tried to open the door, but it would not budge. "He's bolted himself in," she complained. "Then we'll just have to leave him be," said Annie. "Don't be ridiculous, girl. If a guest makes a request, we must obey him. Go and fetch Mr. Harris, and be quick about it." "Yes, Mrs. Burridge." Turning on her heel, Annie raced off downstairs and went into the bar.